Despite being one of the smallest players of his generation, Theo Fleury played a physical style of hockey that often led to altercations. As a junior, he was at the center of the infamous punch-up in Piestany, a brawl that resulted in the disqualification of both Canada and the Soviet Union from the 1987 World Junior Championships. Once considered unlikely to play in the NHL due to his small size, Fleury scored over 1,000 points and won the Stanley Cup in 1989 with the Flames. During his career, Fleury recorded 90-plus points 4 times and 100-plus points twice. He twice represented Canada at the Winter Olympics, winning a gold medal in 2002. Throughout his career, he battled drug and alcohol addictions that ultimately forced him out of the NHL in 2003. He played one season in the British Elite Ice Hockey League in 2005 to 2006. After a memorable comeback attempt with the Flames, he retired in 2009. Fleury was born on June 29, 1968 in Oxbow, Saskatchewan, the first of Wally and Donna Fleury's 3 sons. Wally was a hockey player whose dreams of a professional career ended when he broke his leg playing baseball in the summer of 1963, an injury that fueled his problem with alcohol. Donna was a quiet, religious woman who battled a prescription pill addiction for many years. The Fleurys lived in Williams Lake, British Columbia for 4 years, a period that saw Theo's brother Ted born in 1970, before settling in Russell, Manitoba by 1973, the year his youngest brother Travis was born. Theo's father worked as a truck driver and maintenance worker at the hockey arena in Russell. Always one of the smallest children in his class and without stable supervision at home, Fleury adopted an aggressive posture and later described himself as a bully. He turned to hockey as an outlet when he borrowed an old pair of skates and a broken stick to play his first game at the age of 5. From that point on, he played hockey at every opportunity, often accompanying his father to the arena in Russell in the pre-dawn hours. He was described by his teachers as a determined youth, who'd repeat any activity he failed at until he got it right. In January 1982, Fleury's dreams of playing in the NHL nearly ended at the age of 13 when he suffered a deep cut under his arm that severed his brachial artery. 5 months after the incident, the community raised money to send him to the Andy Murray Hockey School in Brandon, Manitoba. It was there that Fleury met Graham James, who was working as a scout for the Winnipeg Warriors of the Western Hockey League. James told Fleury that he had the skill to play in the NHL despite his size, and promised to recruit him to play junior hockey for the Warriors when he was old enough. Soon James convinced the Fleurys to let 14-year-old Theo move to Winnipeg, where he'd serve as Theo's caretaker. Little did his parents know, this arrangement would lead to repeated traumatic experiences for Theo. Over a 2.5-year period, James forced himself on Fleury over 150 times, leaving Theo to deal with the aftermath of repeated traumatic experiences in isolation. Fleury began his junior career in 1983 as a 15-year-old with the St. James Canadians of the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, scoring 33 goals and 64 points in 22 games, an incredible pace of nearly 3 points per game. In 1984 he moved up to the Moose Jaw Warriors, who just relocated from Winnipeg and were coached by Graham James. Young, scared, and confused, Fleury felt he had nowhere to turn to get help with the ongoing abuse, as such issues were heavily stigmatized and rarely discussed at the time. To cope with the trauma, the 16-year-old Fleury became dependent on alcohol. Fleury was finally distanced from his abuser when James was forced out of his job in Moose Jaw and moved back to Winnipeg. With James gone, Fleury improved his totals in each of his 4 years in the WHL, culminating with a 68-goal, 92-assist season in 1987-88. His 160 points tied him for the league lead with Joe Sakic, and the two players shared the Bob Clarke Trophy as the WHL's top scorers. Fleury's 92 assists and 160 points remain team records, and he holds the Warriors' career records for goals, assists, and points. To this day, Fleury remains 8th all-time in WHL scoring. Always one of the smallest players in the game, Fleury learned early that he had to play an unpredictable style to survive against players much larger than he was. He found that the best way to protect himself was to intimidate his opponents by playing a feisty, physical game, which he said led to many retaliatory penalties and several arguments with his coaches. He recorded 235 minutes in penalties in his final year of junior, nearly 100 more than any of the other top 10 WHL scorers. Fleury retained this style of play throughout his hockey career, routinely surprising opponents who felt their size was an advantage. Fleury twice represented Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championships. He first joined the team for the 1987 tournament in Piestany, Slovakia, best remembered for the infamous bench-clearing brawl between the Canadians and Soviets. Fleury scored 2 goals in the first period and celebrated wildly both times. The brawl began early in the second period, with Canada leading 4-2 when Pavel Kostychkin slashed Fleury, leading to a fight between the two. It quickly escalated into a brawl involving all skaters on the ice, after which the Soviet players left their bench, followed closely by the Canadians. Both teams were disqualified from the tournament, costing Fleury and the Canadians a medal, potentially the gold. The International Ice Hockey Federation suspended all players involved in the brawl from participating in international tournaments for 18 months, though the bans were later reduced to 6 months on appeal. This reduction allowed Fleury to participate in the 1988 tournament in Moscow. He was named captain and finished second in team scoring with 8 points in 7 games, and was named a tournament all-star as Canada won the gold medal. Although he scored 129 points for the Warriors in 1986-87, Fleury's small stature led many teams to doubt that he could play in the NHL. The Calgary Flames drafted him in the 8th round, 166th overall, at the 1987 NHL entry draft. Upon completing his junior season in 1988, Fleury signed his first professional contract and joined the Salt Lake Golden Eagles, the Flames' International Hockey League affiliate. He scored 7 points in 2 regular season games, then 16 more in 8 playoff games as the Eagles won the Turner Cup championship. Fleury arrived at the Flames' 1988 training camp 20 pounds overweight, and was assigned back to Salt Lake to begin the 1988-89 season. He averaged nearly 2 points per game, recording 37 goals and 37 assists to lead the IHL in scoring after 40 games. Mired in a slump, the Flames recalled Fleury on January 1, 1989, in the hope he could provide a spark. He played his first NHL game against the Quebec Nordiques 2 nights later, and recorded 3 assists on January 5 against the Los Angeles Kings, before scoring his first 2 NHL goals in a 7-2 victory over the Edmonton Oilers on January 7. Fleury continued to score, and finished with 34 points in 36 games in his rookie season. He added 11 points in the playoffs, helping the Flames to their first Stanley Cup championship in franchise history. After improving to 33 goals in his first full season, Fleury broke out in 1990-91, scoring 51 goals and 104 points to lead the Flames offensively. He played in the 1991 All-Star Game, scoring a goal in an 11-5 victory by the Campbell Conference over the Whales. Towards the end of the season, Fleury set a league record by scoring 3 shorthanded goals in 1 game against the Blues. He shared the NHL Plus-Minus award with Marty McSorley, finishing the season with a rating of +48. Fleury scored just 2 goals in the 1991 playoffs, but after his overtime winner in Game 6 against the Oilers, he famously slid the entire length of the ice in jubilation before crashing into the boards as his teammates attempted to catch up to him. Unfortunately, the Flames were defeated in Game 7, which ended their season. His breakout season also earned Fleury a spot at the 1991 Canada Cup, where he scored a goal and 4 assists in 7 games for the tournament champion Canadiens. Fleury fell back to 33 goals in 91-92, and the Flames missed the playoffs. He made his second All-Star Game appearance, recording a goal for the Campbell Conference. Fleury finished with over 100 points for the second time in his career in 92-93, leading the team in scoring, and setting a franchise record by going +9 in a 13-1 victory over the San Jose Sharks, in which he scored 6 points. The 1994-95 NHL lockout reduced the season to 48 games. During the lockout, Fleury played for Tappara in Finland's top league. He recorded 17 points in 10 games before the NHL's labor dispute was resolved, bringing him back to Calgary. Late in the season, Fleury recorded 2 goals and an assist against the Oilers on March 31, 1995, to surpass 500 career points. Lacking a contract prior to the 95-96 season, Fleury staged a brief holdout during training camp before signing a 5-year $12 million deal with the Flames. He agreed to take less money than he could have received on the open market out of loyalty to the franchise that had given him his NHL opportunity. He missed much of the preseason with a stomach ailment, but joined the team for the season opener. Although he felt like somebody was stabbing a knife in his gut every 5 minutes, Fleury played every game for the Flames when he revealed in December 1995 that he'd been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and doctors had finally found the correct medication to control it. Despite the ailment, Fleury led the team in goals, assists, and points, and played in his 3rd All-Star game, serving as Calgary's only representative. When Joe Nieuwendyk refused to report to the Flames prior to the 1995-96 season, the Flames named Fleury interim captain. The title was made permanent when Nieuwendyk was traded to Dallas for Jerome Iginla in December. Fleury was reluctant to assume the captaincy, but did so out of loyalty to the team and because there was nobody else capable of taking on the role. He relinquished it 2 seasons later after deciding it was harming his play and affecting his relationship with his teammates and coach Pierre Pagé. The Flames struggled in 1996-97, finishing last in the Pacific Division and missing the playoffs for the second time since their arrival in Calgary in 1980. Fleury again led the team in scoring, but his 29 goals were the fewest he'd scored in a full season in the NHL. He was once again the Flames' lone representative at the 1997 All-Star Game. Fleury scored just 27 goals in 97-98, but increased his point total from 67 to 78 while also leading the team with 197 penalty minutes. On November 29, 1997, Fleury scored his 315th career goal, breaking Nieuwendyk's franchise record. He participated in his 5th All-Star game, but the Flames again missed the playoffs. National Hockey League players were first allowed to participate in the Olympics at the 1998 Games. Invited to join Canada's Dream Team, Fleury described his selection as a highlight of his life. He scored a goal for Canada, who lost their semi-final matchup against the Czech Republic in a shootout and failed to medal. On February 19, 1999, Fleury became the Flames' franchise scoring leader, a record he held for 10 years until surpassed by Jarome Iginla in 2009. The Flames were struggling financially and couldn't sign Fleury to a new contract. They chose to trade him less than 2 weeks after he broke the record rather than losing him to free agency. He was dealt to the Colorado Avalanche on February 28, 1999 for Rene Corbe, Wade Belak, and Robin Regeer. Although it was expected, the trade nonetheless stunned fans in Calgary. It was viewed as another sign that small-market Canadian teams could no longer compete in the NHL. The economics of hockey had changed such that the Flames felt they had to deal their top player despite being just 2 points out of a playoff spot. Fleury made his Avalanche debut the day after the trade, and was met with loud cheers from the Denver crowd. He scored a goal in a 4-3 loss to the Oilers, but also sprained his knee and missed the next 2 weeks. He played in 15 regular season games for the Avalanche, scoring 10 goals and 14 assists, plus another 5 goals and 12 assists in 18 playoff games before the Avalanche were eliminated by the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals. The Avalanche chose not to re-sign Fleury, and he joined the New York Rangers on a 3-year contract worth $21 million that included a club option for a 4th season. Fleury's first year in Manhattan was a disappointment. He scored only 15 goals in 99 to 2000, struggling under the pressure of trying to lead the Rangers into the playoffs and adapting to life in New York. After the season, he voluntarily entered a league-operated program that treats substance abuse and emotional problems. Fleury rebounded to score 30 goals in 2000 to 2001 and earned a spot in his 7th All-Star game. He scored his 400th NHL goal on November 4, 2000, in a 5-2 victory over the Montreal Canadiens. Fleury was leading his team, and was 4th in the league with 74 points in 62 games when the Rangers announced that he'd again entered the league's substance abuse program. The decision ended his season. Fleury was invited by general manager Wayne Gretzky to participate in Canada's selection camp for the 2002 Olympics. The invitation was controversial, as his behavioral and substance abuse issues had become increasingly public in previous months. Fleury wanted to justify Gretzky's support, so he refrained from drinking or taking drugs during the season, later describing himself as a dry drunk. He earned a spot on the team and recorded 2 assists in 6 games as the Canadian hockey team won its first Olympic gold medal in 50 years. He played all 82 games in 2001 to 2002, but his off-ice problems affected his play on the ice. After receiving a major in-game misconduct penalty in a game against the Sharks on December 28, he wound up in a confrontation with the Sharks mascot S.J. Sharkey in a hallway of the HP Pavilion, reportedly breaking Sharkey's rib. Then, after taking a penalty in a January 2002 game against the Penguins, Fleury left the ice rather than skating to the penalty box. He later apologized to his teammates, claiming he was deeply stressed by family problems. 2 weeks later, he was fined $1,000 for making an obscene gesture to fans of the New York Islanders who'd been taunting him over his drug use. Towards the end of February, he lashed out against the league's officials. He claimed they weren't judging him fairly, and even threatened to retire. Unsurprisingly, the league dismissed his complaints. Fleury did, however, achieve a personal milestone, recording his 1,000th career point with an assist on a goal by Mike York. Following the season, the Rangers didn't exercise their option, and traded Fleury's playing rights to the San Jose Sharks, which entitled the Sharks to a draft pick if Fleury signed elsewhere. Fleury did just that, signing a 2-year $8.5 million contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. 2 days before the opening of the 2002 to 2003 season, Fleury was suspended by the NHL for violating the terms of the league's substance abuse program. The Blackhawks hired one of Fleury's friends, also a recovering alcoholic, to ensure he attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and abided by the terms of the NHL's aftercare program. Fleury missed the first 2 months of the season before being reinstated, while out with teammates in January 2003. He was involved in a drunken brawl with bouncers at a strip club in Columbus that left him bloodied. He has no memory of the night and described it as among the lowest points of his life. He wasn't suspended, but the incident contributed to a collapse in the standings by the Blackhawks, and they placed him on waivers in March. No team claimed him, and Fleury finished out the season with the Blackhawks, recording 12 goals and 21 assists in 54 games. Following the season, he was suspended again for violations of the league's substance abuse program. The suspension ended his NHL career. In January 2005, Fleury announced that he'd joined his cousin Todd Holt and some other former NHL players in playing for the Horse Lake Thunder of the North Peace Hockey League for the Allen Cup. Fleury remained embroiled in controversy at the 2005 Allen Cup tournament. The Thunder were repeatedly accused of paying players despite being an amateur team, and Fleury angrily denied rumors that he was secretly being paid $100,000. Tournament fans were extremely hostile towards the Thunder, and after they were eliminated in the semi-finals, Fleury threatened to return his 2002 Olympic gold medal. Following the Allen Cup, Fleury was convinced by a friend to move to the United Kingdom to play with the Belfast Giants of the Elite Ice Hockey League for the 2005 to 2006 season. He scored 3 goals and added 4 assists in a fight in his first game, and went on to score 22 goals and 52 assists in 34 games as Belfast won the regular season league title. Described as the most talented player ever to play in the United Kingdom, Fleury was named Player of the Year. In late 2008, Fleury joined his brother Ted with the Steinbach North Stars in a second bid to win the Allen Cup, but they lost in the semi-finals to the Southeast Prairie Thunder by a score of 4-2. Unhappy with how his NHL career ended, Fleury hired a personal trainer in February 2009 and began an attempt to return to the NHL. By August, he petitioned Commissioner Gary Bettman to lift his suspension. He was reinstated on September 10th following a meeting with Bettman. Fleury then accepted a tryout offer from the Flames. He made his return to the NHL in an exhibition game in Calgary against the New York Islanders, playing on a line with Damon Lankow and Nigel Dawes. Fleury was met with loud cheers throughout the game, and scored the game winner in a shootout to give the Flames a 5-4 win. After the game, he saluted the crowd as the fans chanted his name. 3 nights later, he scored a goal and an assist in a 5-2 victory over the Florida Panthers. Fleury played 4 exhibition games, scoring 4 points, before being released by the Flames. General Manager Daryl Sutter expressed his pride in Fleury's attempt and commended his effort, but decided Fleury wasn't one of the top 6 wingers in camp, which Sutter and Fleury had agreed was a condition of the tryout continuing. On September 28, 2009, Fleury announced his retirement at a news conference at the Saddledome. He thanked the Flames for allowing him to attempt the comeback, and expressed satisfaction at how his career ended. After retiring, Fleury released his autobiography Playing with Fire. Among other things, he discussed the abuse he suffered from Graham James. Playing with Fire became the top seller on Amazon within a week of its release, and Fleury stated he'd been contacted by several sexual abuse victims who were motivated by his book to seek help. He told CBC in October 2009 he was contemplating a criminal complaint against James, and was volunteering with an organization dedicated to helping male sexual abuse victims. Sheldon Kennedy, another victim of James, encouraged Fleury to press charges. In January 2010, investigators with the Winnipeg Police Service began an investigation after Fleury met with officers to file a complaint. James pleaded guilty to charges stemming from his abuse of Fleury and his cousin Todd Holt. James was sentenced to 2 years in prison, a decision which sparked outrage across Canada for its perceived leniency. Fleury praised the response by Canadians and called for harsher punishments for sexual predators. He continues to participate in Flames alumni events and volunteers with the Calgary Dream Center, which helps people overcome addictions. It remains a bit of a mystery as to why Theo Fleury isn't in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Of the 4 players from the 1987 draft class who recorded more than 1,000 points, only Fleury has yet to be inducted. Fleury also hasn't had his number retired by the Flames, despite being the second highest scorer in franchise history. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to support the channel.